Hello YouTube and hello Ninth Age community. This is Charles with Evershade Gaming and I'm bringing you another Ninth Age Battle Report. Happy Thanksgiving to all you American fans out there. And to those around the world, a happy Thanksgiving as well. For we all have so much to be thankful for with .205 release. The moving towards gold and just the great game that we have been given and that we have crafted as a community. So I've got a game with my giant flagellant army list. So I went to this little one-day event in Canada last week and it was awesome. Shout out to Evan, Switz Hobbies for or Switz Games for a really great tournament, 3-day event or one-day event, 3-game event. So the list is pretty simple. It's 80 flags and each one has a prelate with a 1-up armor save in it. I have a wizard with pyromancy on a cart with this, the distracting cart, and then in my core it's just all scoring stuff, a little bit of light shooting, and then kind of 3 different heavy infantry units to kind of do a little different things and a couple cannons. So I played against a Vermin Swarm list run one, and he's got the 2 towers. It's union of the 2 towers. What can men do against such reckless rats? So he's got a Magister with lots of great stuff. He's on a Doom Bell. He's got Alkaline Talent. I'm guessing he's got probably a 3-up armor save, which is great. Second Awakening that lets him reroll his missile dice, use damage dice, and he's a Wizard Master with Thaumaturgy. So yeah, great guy, great Magister, really nasty character. And he's got a Plague Patriarch. This guy's also awesome. He's got a Wizard Adept. He's got a couple spells, Light Armor, Plague Flail, Future Protection. That item is honestly overpowered. 60 points plus 2 armor save. You get a 2-up armor save on that thing, and successful armor saves hit toxic attacks on the unit. Come on, that's crazy. He's also on a pendulum, and he's got cheap BSB with the Scepter of Vermin Valor that goes in the back, foot pads for scoring, and then Vermin Guard to host the bell, and Plague Brotherhood to host the pendulum. So yeah, perfect core. What else would you want? Both those units are really strong, really nasty. Raining Banner is perfect on the Brotherhood. The Endless Swarm is insane on the Vermin Guard. And then the rest of his list is really just auxiliary stuff that's a little bit of chaff and things that can get thrown away if need be. So he's got some Plague Disciples, some Rat Swarms, decent unit sized Jezzails. I was really scared of those 6 Jezzails. A Global Launcher, a Rotary Gun. He's got 2 Dreadmails, which is just, whew, those are rough. And he's also got a single play catapult, which is just nice. Toxic attacks. I can't believe that thing doesn't get weakened on the partial hit because it's toxic attack. That's oh, it's so good. Oh my gosh. Oh, Vermin Swarm's so strong. All right, so looking at deployment. So my opponent won the roll off to select table sides, and I let him start playing, and he just put everything down. So he's got 1 Dreadmill on the left there, and then on that hill he's got his 6 Jezzails. He's got his 2 towers in the middle, his Pendulum on the left, and his Bell on the right. And then one of his artillery teams or whatever is behind the Pendulum. I think it's the Globe Launcher. And then the Rotary Gun is behind the fence right there, the hedge. He's got his Rat Storms behind his guys, because they can just come out when you need to chaff. His those Plague Brotherhood or Plague dudes with the flails right there, and then some foot pads, and that's a field right there in the right of this picture. And in that field he's also got a catapult and another Dreadmill to round out a very nice list. Very strong Vermin Swarm list, as I would call it. I think it's a great list. So looking at my left flank here, so I have a unit of heavy infantry with halberds. And then in that water feature, I just kind of stuck both my light infantry. I just wanted to use them to maybe put some wounds on that Dreadmill, but I was also thinking about putting some wounds on those Jezzails, because again, Strength 6 AP 4 shots are really good at killing wizards on carts. And then in the middle there, I've got, starting with my flagellant line. So I've got the biggest unit one in the middle, that one's got my general in it. And then to the left of that is another unit of 26 flagellants. And behind them is my 21 swords, 21 heavy infantry with just swords and boards, and I've got my BSB on the left corner there. You can kind of just see a yellow cloak there in this picture. And then this picture didn't turn out amazing, but I've got another unit of flagellants on a hill. My wizard behind the hill, he's basically just being screened from the the Jezzails right now. And then I've got another unit of heavy infantry with spears on my flank here, and 2 cannons. The nice thing about the bigger units of heavy infantry is they both have banner of Relentless Company. So I'm going to try, my plan was to try and march up on those dreadmills and try and just get them into combat against heavy infantry so that, you know, they're not really killing anything really strong here. And this is a nice, just kind of picture of seeing kind of us lining up for battle here. It's basically the 2 towers versus 80 flagellant bodies, and we'll see which one can come out on top. I'm really nervous about my flanks. And after this game, I must have not noticed that forest right in the middle of this picture, because my cannons, no spoilers, but my cannons are going to have a hard time shooting at those towers through that little forest, just the perfect amount of soft cover. Vermin Swarms got turn 1, because again, he dropped everything, so he really didn't move up his towers that much. He moved up his bell unit just to get in range to throw some stuff at my wizard. And then, because he's got a couple, he's got some thaumaturgy missiles plus his hereditary spell, and yeah, his spells from his pendulum he didn't use all game, and his doom bells or his dread mills obviously move up. He gets Flux Card 2 on his turn 1. Gives him 5 dice, or gives him 7 dice to my 5 dice. I let him get a Wrath of the Gods off. I have a hard time sometimes dispelling Wrath of the Gods. They're so swingy. All of Thaumaturgy is such a swingy lore. It's like you can let one spell go off and it'll do nothing, or you can let another spell go off and it'll just kill something outright. It's crazy. That's the only spell he got off in the magic phase. He just shoots a couple guys with a Dreadmill over here, kills them, and then kills a few Flagellants. I think this might have been with the Jezzails, because none of his weapon teams were, in range to shoot turn 1, because I think they're both like 18 inches. So Emperor Sonnstahl turn 1. Yeah, I just pushed the whole line of Flagellants 8 inches forward. I wish they could move more, but yeah, they march up 8. Heavy infantry follow on the flanks, and I don't use my banner Relentless Company on the right here with my spears, but I do use it with my halberdiers, and they get really close to that dreadmill. And then yeah, I'm just gonna try to use my cannons to kind of maybe take out that dreadmill on my right flank here, because I'm definitely nervous about it shooting my wizard. And then I just move my wizard in range so that he's got a decent amount of targets for a all the pyromancy magic here. So I do get a fireball off on the catapult. It just puts a single wound through, which is okay. It's a start. And then I do the Enveloping Embers. Can't really see that magic card, but I do Enveloping Embers in this unit. And I think I killed 7, which I thought was pretty good, because I mean they do have a 4-up armor save. But when there's like 30, I think there's 30 something in that unit, so it's like, yeah, I think he wounded half and he saved half. So like I killed 7. I thought that was great. And then going into the shooting phase, the light, I think this probably be both the light infantry's shot. In between the 2 of them, they killed 2 Jezzails, which was actually quite good for, I think one had accurate, one didn't. Caused a panic test, which is great, because they're only, I think, discipline 6 right now. But he passed it. He had a reroll. He failed the first time and he passed on his reroll. So fortunately, that would have been great to see those guys just run off the board, because that would have made me a lot more confident with my wizard. Not that I don't have a lot of thaumaturgy magic coming at me, but yeah. One of the cannons opens up and it hits the dreadmill and does 4 wounds, which is just so awesome. And then I believe the other cannon shot at this dreadmill too, but it rolled that 1 to wound, that rubber cannonball, and it just bounced right off. Going into Vermin Swarm's turn 2, he pulls his bell back because he's got like 27 inches on the bell. I think the bell gives him more range to cast. I'm pretty sure I saw it gives like an extra 3 inches, which is awesome. I mean, who doesn't want an extra 3 inches on their lore? So he just pulls back with the bell, because obviously there's a bunch of flagellants running forward. He moves up that unit of those like plague dudes with the flails right in the middle between the dreadmill and my heavy infantry. So he's kind of threatening my heavy infantry right there, threatening my cannons, threatening my wizards. So I'm gonna have to, maybe I might have to pull back, or I might just charge. I don't know what I'm gonna do. And then he moves up the dreadmill on the right here to be in range to shoot my wizard, but I don't think he's close enough to have strength 6. And then over here, I moved up my heavy infantry just a little too much, and he was just able to get out of my arc of sight. So now we have to dance over here, or I have to decide if we want to dance over here. So that was not the best play. And then just showing that his rotary gun is in range to fire now. So he gets Flux card 7, which is an awesome magic phase, and he's going to get to throw a lot of dice. And the Wrath of the Gods did not come down on my last turn, so he decides to just put another Wrath of the Gods down. So he's got one Wrath of the Gods, and this one's basically right in the middle of all my flagellants, so if this one comes down, it should basically hit all 3 units, and probably even that unit of heavy infantry that's trailing these guys. So this is just this is another picture showing he's got one right there, and then he's got another one. So even in my next magic phase, that unit on the left there could get hit by 2 possibly, and that one I really need a full strength because it's got to go fight against the pendulum. So yeah, it's tough. And then he gets a hand of heaven off on my wizard, puts 1 wound through, which is fine. And then he really opens up his shooting on this right unit of flagellants. And, yeah, I mean, he just pulls them off. Because they get depleted even more. So, yeah, they really took some punishment this turn. Because, there's only 2 lines. So there's 17 left in that unit right now. Or maybe just 16, actually, because there's a prelate in the front rank. So, yeah, lost a lot in that unit this turn. And then Emperor Sonnstahl turn 2. Again, those flagellants, they just kind of keep pushing up. Because I'm not really too worried about either of his units blowing through my bigger units in one go. Maybe that smaller one, but then there's nothing really behind that smaller one right now. So if he gets through, he goes through, and then he's got nothing else to charge at. He's got to move around. I charged my heavy infantry with spears into that dreadmill, hoping to just get that. I just need to get 1 wound through, but I could probably beat it with combat res, even if it does, even if it goes poorly. And then I decided, I was having a really hard time here. I wanted to have my heavy infantry in place to charge either those Jezzails the next turn, or maybe if he did charge into my flagellants, I wanted to be able to countercharge. And I decided I didn't want to play, let me just keep turning around to face your dreadmill. And I figured he'd either come in and I'll be steadfast or whatever. So I get Flux card 2 this time, so get quite a bit of dice, but I don't really have a great magic phase on my turn 2, unfortunately, because the only thing I get off is enveloping embers on these guys. I just wanted to concentrate all my fire magic and try and blow up this unit. I only get enveloping embers off, and I only do 3 wounds, even with the attributes. So that one just went really poorly. And then one of the Wrath of the Gods comes down, the one that actually had the fewest markers. So one builds up another marker, the one by all my light infantry builds up another marker, so I lose 6 guys here. And then I lose a decent amount of flags in the middle unit. I think I lose about 8 in that one, and then I lose 3 in the other one. And then nothing in the far one to the right in this picture. So, yeah, it was the middle unit really got hit hard. I think I want to say they lost 8. Because I want to say there's 2 guys in the back of this picture, so. And then my BSB's unit just decides that was really spooky, and they just turn around, so they're fleeing right now, which is great. And then shoot here, again, because I don't really have good shots against the Dreadmill, so. And I get another panic test off, but he just passes it. Those valorous vermin swarms. And then shoot the Plague Catapult with a cannon, put 3 more wounds on it. So again, it's like, I just keep leaving things with like a wound here, and it's just, that's always really frustrating when you just can't finish stuff. Because then this cannon, I think it shot at one of the towers, just trying to put some wounds on him, but I rolled I misfired and I took a wound, so that was great. I win combat here, I can't put the wound on it, but it gets away. So, yeah, by 1 inch. We rolled the same thing, but it gets, that 1 extra inch. Vermin Storm's turn 3. He charges my heavy infantry in the flank with one of his dreadnoughts. Yeah, so this guy coming in the flank is not great, but, you know, I'm just going to hope to be steadfast. I mean, I know I'm going to be steadfast. I almost wish I reformed to just be deep. Yeah, just to give me more combat res, because unfortunately, I only have, like, 1 combat res, so I can't even really hope to beat him with combat res. And then, yep, this guy rallies. That other Dreadmill rallies, so that was okay, I guess. I think it was like a 7, so it was like average 50% of the time it'll rally. So yeah, he just kind of chaffs me up with his rat swarms in the middle there, and then he chaffs me with his foot pads on the other side. Yep. So yeah, unfortunately not getting into either. I mean, I can possibly get into the pendulum with the unit on my left, but I think it's like a 12-inch charge, which is definitely not a guaranteed charge for advance 4 infantry. So, yep, these rats just keep backing up. He only gets Flux Card 1, which is nice. It's a little bit smaller magic phase, because this army definitely does. It just rocks it out with the magic, with the dark shards and everything. He gets 3 5s, I think casting a Hand of Heaven on my middle flagellant unit, and he freaked out at first, because I don't know if he saw the Flux card, but he gets +1 to all his miscasts, and it's +1 miscasts for, +1 miscast for, Thaumaturgy, and then, but then I was like, dude, it's only 3 dice, so it's -1, and he was like, oh, thank goodness, because he thought he just lost his bell, which obviously would suck, but the funny thing about it is it doesn't do any damage to me, and it doesn't do any damage to him, because I think he rolls Strength 1, so he doesn't wound with any of them, and then he just say, I think, because he gets 4 hits, I think he wounded once with 4, and then he just passes Aegis save. So yeah, neither of us like take any hits, and then he gets a Legacy of the Swarm off, because I mean obviously let the 3 5s go off. But I think he had 3 more dice, and he was rolling high with all his 3 dice casts. I swear he was in the mid to high teens with every roll. It was crazy. Which, I mean, sometimes it's what Thaumaturgy does. But yeah, oh man, this guy had awesome magic dice this morning. The Wrath of Gods just keeps building up. It's up to 5 now. I mean, because it's counter +4 right now, so it's gonna be big. Oh man, this was rough. So this Dreadmill goes in, it does like 2 or 3 wounds. I do a wound back to it, and then I just can't kill it. Or I just can't roll my steadfast. And I break from combat and he runs me down. Like I was like, no, Oh, it's so frustrating. Ugh, this was like the start of the end, I guess. Foreshadow. It's time for a Sonnstahl turn 3. Yeah, I've got a bunch of charges. All the flags are going into trying to go into stuff. The only one that's hard is I've got I need to roll an 8 on 2 dice on the one on the left here, and then even my spearmen are going back into that Dreadmill. I mean, it's 1 wound. I just got to finish it off, And then you can't see it in this picture, but my wizard's also charging those plague dudes with flails. He's going to be able to charge them right in the flank. So this is after charging. As you can see, my wizard made it, the spearmen went in, the 2 went in, and then the flagellants failed. I want to say they failed by 1 inch. I think I rolled a 7, and it's just a little too far. So unfortunately, they went like 4 inches forward. So he can come in, but I can't remember if he comes in or not. We're gonna have to get there when we get there. So in the magic phase, I've got mostly missiles from pyromancy. I didn't take pictures of my magic cards. I gotta start doing that again. I don't know when I stopped. I think I stopped doing it when we got to pick our lures every time, because I was like, oh, it's obvious what spells I want every time, but it's not always obvious to everybody. So I get Volan's Blessing off on the big unit that's in front of the pendulum, and then I get a Altered Sight off on one of my cannons, because really want to try and put some wounds on. Really, I don't know. It's both of them. I mean, the pendulum, they're both expensive, but the pendulum to me is best in combat. So I shoot one of my units of light infantry at the Dreadmill right here, and I get a wound on it. Sonnstahl is actually in short range because it's so close. And then I shoot another unit of light infantry at the Jezzails on the hill, and I finish them off. So I thought that was good because again, I think that Jezzail had 1 wound left, and it's like if I don't kill it, it's just going to go behind the hill, and I'm not going to get those points. You know, it's like I just got to keep. I feel like I just had to keep dedicating so much effort into things, and then this was fantastic. Oh my gosh! So the wizard comes in. He's got 2 wounds left on him. He took 2 wounds from a dreadmill earlier in the game, so he had 3 wounds on him. He comes in. He gets like 2 impact hits. He does 1 wound. This guy strikes back with 2 guys. His toxic attack doesn't wound, and then he's got 2 attacks in the flank. He rolls a 4 and a 6, so he gets his battle focus. So 3 hits. He wounds with all of them. I get a 6-up save. I can't make any saves, which I mean, not like a crazy save. I mean, obviously, I would have been lucky to make a couple 6-ups, but he just kills me outright. I explode on impact, and he's fine. Ugh. And then going into the dreadmill again, same thing. I can't do a single wound again with like I've got 12 attacks going on this thing. And so I mean, I know I'm wounding on 6s. I'm only AP1, but I just can't put another wound on it. I lose combat. I think we tie in combat that time. And then over here, I'm able to mop up the rest of. I mop up all the chaff, pretty easily. And then I actually just decide to overrun into that artillery gun because I'm like, I should just get points where I can at this point. And then I actually catch a little break here in a second. You'll see. So Vermin Storm turn 4. He tries to charge one of the cannons, but he fails. So that was nice. And this is actually going to be my opponent's last turn. Because we just went over on. We were really going over on time. Just having too much fun killing stuff everywhere. And then he does decide to come in with the pendulum finally. I'm glad I had rerolled a wound up. And then he actually could not make this charge right here because he was in my rear and he could not wheel past his own unit because he was just too long. So I got a little bit of a break there, and then. So he just turns to face, so he's just gonna, sling a lot of magic at these 2 units. So that was a nice break. He gets a hand of heaven off here. I think I might do a wound or 2. I'm trying to remember. I know these guys. You're about to see them all be dead, unfortunately. But I want to say they take some wounds from magic. He gets Smite the Unbeliever off on this unit right here. I think he took my resilience down, which I was okay with. I mean, it's going to wound me better, but he was already going to kill so many of me. And then, I want to say it was the globe launcher that really finished. I want to say I had 4 or 5 flagellants after a hand of heaven. And he hits me with the globe launcher, and he kills the rest of the unit. And the prelate actually breaks. Fails a Discipline 9 test, and he runs away. Yeah, it would have been nice to have him because he could have just charged that catapult for me. And then this Dreadmill beats his other unit of heavy infantry, which is just like, just couldn't do a single wound to this thing, man. Like 36 attacks or something like that, I think. Over 3 rounds of combat, I couldn't poke 1 wound through. Which, I mean, again, the odds aren't like amazing in my favor, but they're also not that bad, so unfortunately this thing lives. And then catch a small break here again. He kills all but 1 flagellant. I kill a bunch of him, not really enough to really get any points out of this unit. I think I killed something in the teens, but I mean that's such a big unit, I needed to kill something in the 20s. So my last turn is pretty short. This Wrath of the Gods finally comes down. The one that he casts on his turn 1. It has like 6 markers on it or something like that. It kills a bunch of light infantry. It kills a bunch of heavy infantry. But not enough to reduce any of them to get points out of them. So that was good. And none of them ran away because I was able to move my BSB nearby. I put Steadyman on my BSB's unit. And then so that was interesting. Again, that's the problem with Wrath of Gods is like, this one didn't come down till the end, and then in the end it was sort of worthless. Obviously, if we kept playing this game, it would have been helpful, because these units would all have been very reduced, but since this was like the last turn, it didn't really help. I do end up, the biggest effect was it took a bunch of crossbow shots out, and I'm able to put 2 more wounds on this, or 1 more wound on this Dreadmill, Couldn't get that extra wound on to get half points, though, unfortunately. I think I did get 2 wounds through, but he passed one of his armor saves. And then another nice break in combat here. This was kind of funny. So he's in line formation, so the only combat res he has is basically kills and banners, which he has 2 banners. So he goes, he puts all his attacks from the pendulum on the flagellant, kills the last one. He rolled pretty low. I think he rolled only 2 or 3 maybe. Must have been 3, because I think it's d6 plus 3. So he rolled 3, just made sure he killed the flagellant, and then couldn't wound my prelate because he's like strength 3 everywhere. And my prelate does 2 wounds to him, and he just sticks in combat, and this is the end of the game. So I got one of my units of flagellants to go kill that catapult in the field there, and then I fired both my cannons. I want to say, I think I just tried to kill that dreadmill on the right there, because I'm thinking like there's such a small chance that I kill like his towers that I should just like focus on this dreadmill, because like, you know, I should be able to kill it, but I think both of them either missed or didn't wound or whatever. So this is basically what's left on the board at the end of the game. So he's got, you know, both his central towers are unaffected really. I've got like 10 flagellants on the board, 2 prelates. It's a little bit of light infantry, some heavy infantry, and both my cannons. Yeah, he's got both his dreadmills left too. So this is a pretty overwhelming Vermin Swarm win here. The objective for the game was capture the flags. The only one I got was his footpads, because he only has 3. And because the dreadmills just turned up so hard on my 2 scoring in those two heavy infantry units, I ended up letting him get the objective too, because it would have been tied if I could have beat one of the dreadmills with one of my heavy infantry, but since he got both of them turned up, you know. He ended up winning the objective, and he just won on battle points too. So it ends up being a 17-3 win for the Vermin Swarm. So good on my opponent. I mean, I think he had a great matchup against me. I remember in the list predictions I was thinking he was going to win. There was a few things I really needed to do early on to really kind of give myself a chance, and I misplayed my heavy infantry on the left there. I moved them too aggressively because they let that dreadmill got out of my arc. And then because if I could have zoned that bad boy on the left there and made him so he's just killing like 2 or 3 heavy infantry and then maybe charged him at some point, like that would have been, you know, I could have really tied that guy up for a long time instead of just getting in the flank and losing that whole heavy infantry. Yeah, and then I needed to place my cannons better. They should have been right across from those towers and just plugging into them the entire game. But I was just so nervous about that dreadmill on the right there too. I don't know. I had a tough matchup here, but I was happy to play this game, and it was a really fun game. And yeah, thanks for the game, Vermin Storm player from Canada. And hopefully our paths will cross again, and maybe the Flagellants will be able to fight again for Soon's glory. I want to thank everybody for watching, and again, happy Thanksgiving, and hope you have a great rest of the week. I'll be seeing you soon with some more battle reports.